can you store propane bottles for camping in your cabinet? Some people would say yes, you can. Personally, I would never in a million years do that. You see, Pex, what's up? These bottles here, they're pretty well built. I'm not too concerned about them. Problem is, if you have one of these bottles in your cabinet and there's a minute leak in this thing, just by chance, those fumes and that gas is going to build up inside that cabinet. It's going to stay in there. And God forbid, somebody should be smoking around it. A light should go, lighter should go off. Even an electrical switch nearby, if it's, in contact with those fumes, can set it off. And there is a shitload of energy in this one can. Now imagine keeping this can and others like this in that same cabinet. So if one of them goes off, it's going to set all of these off. And I can't even imagine what kind of an explosion we'd get out of this. When I store these, as you see, I've got a few more, but these are the easiest to get to. I store them in a milk crate. Plenty of air. If you've got to store them outside, you can put something over the top here, but there's still plenty of airflow down here. Also, do not pack them in your trunk. Never pack any of these propane bottles in a tight area. You want plenty of airflow to get to them, just in case there is a leak. Now, I do keep one in my trunk, and let me show you what I do. Now, I have my emergency supplies here in case something happens and I end up having to walk home from 60 miles away. And of course, so I also have my little propane stove in here as well. And as you can see, I have one of these gas canisters in here. I also have it in a sealed Rubbermaid container. If there's a small leak in there, it will build up in here. And if enough pressure does build up, it'll pop the top a little bit so that I can smell it and see what's going on. Also, if there is a little leak, doesn't put out a lot of pressure, it will be contained in here. But if I ever go to use this, I pull it away from the trunk. And every so often, even check it. I pop that top and I give it a sniff test. I don't smell anything, so I know I'm good. So, as I say, even though this one's in the trunk, it's in a sealed container, and there's only one of them. So it's and I do check it every so often. I keep it on the top so that I can always have access to it. And whenever I'm in the trunk, I'll pull it out, open it up, smell it, it's fine, and I'll close it back. But never keep these in a cabinet or somewhere where there's not a good airflow. I'm here to not only teach, but to learn. And I want this to be a community where we teach each other. Just like the last video I did on the gas bottles, I was more focused on the storing of them in tight places than how they could be used as well in open spaces. Yes, when you buy these bottles, they're always in the store, on the shelf. They're also on huge pallets and stacked up in the back as well. And that's because warehouses have a lot of ventilation. And so do your homes also. Because 90% of the time when I use mine, it's inside as well. I'm trying to get away from using the big propane bottles in my camper here. And so when I need to cook, I actually use my camping stove on here. And I literally just leave the propane bottle hooked up. There's plenty of airflow coming in and out of the camper. We've got vents in here. So I'm not worried about this little bottle building up any fumes. If it's a leak, it's going to dissipate throughout the air. Also, I have no problem with storing the bottles out in the open, on the table, on your shelf, and keep them close by. So if you want to store them in your house, in your camper, yeah, I would suggest out in the open. I just don't like the fact of storing these anywhere where there's not a good airflow. So hope that helps. Appreciate the feedback, the comments, and you all have a great day. I know I will.